closing underneath 33% for the year, you should be in here mandatory.
Yep. So there's 4 people on here somehow. I don't even know how, but I don't really care. You're on here. You're on here. Good.
Good morning. It's Nick. I'm on.
Cancel. Okay. So what I again was saying, I think if you're going to say that, you know, we have the ability to do a retrofit, but if you do a retrofit, I'd rather part friends from you than basically do that. It's cool. That's a takeaway, but there's a time you should say it and a time it's not, right? See, the problem is too many people say that before they've even done the inspection. You do it while you're doing the inspection.
Right.
You know, you do it while you're doing the inspection. The words you say are good, but if they're put in the wrong place, it's worthless. Right? You take the demeanor of talking about energy efficiency, you talk about it before you even do an inspection, you've given a Band-Aid before you've even gone.
I typically find a bad window, and then I will talk about, this right here takes away my personal ability to do a retrofit window, and we can as a company.
Not my personal ability, the ability.
The ability to do it, because in this situation, I know it'll fail. So my word, my name out there is worth more than just slapping windows on the inside of your house, knowing that it's going to fail.
Yeah. So what we're trained, especially, to basically come out here and see if this is a candidate to do a retrofit window or not.
Okay.
And the candidate, I would love to be able to do it because it's going to drive your cost down. But unfortunately, I think you've waited a little too long, which has now forced us to not even have the option to do this.
Right.
You see how that sounds a little bit different?
Right.
It's not just, I wouldn't do this because it sucks, or I wouldn't do this because, leave the I out of it, right? I, me, my, those are opinions, okay? I, me, and my is an opinion. You know, here's what's going on, right? The people that did the stucco around this window, they oversprayed this thing to a nitro. Now, we don't know where the paper starts and stops, but unfortunately, so we need to basically do as minimal damage around here as possible, but let's take a look at the window itself, right? You put a level on this thing, you see how this is racked and out of square? Unfortunately, we've waited too long now to make this be a candidate for a retrofit window, right? And if we want to do a retrofit window, which yes is the cheapest option that you can do out through here, but unfortunately in this situation, that would be the worst option you could do. Here's why. Would you like to know? Yes. Look at your water management system here, right? Before you put a new window in, this is what I would do before I ever got to display a window. Before you put a new window in, they're going to take these 2 sashes out, right? And then now see all these tracks down here? That's the most important water management system on this entire opening. So again, not the new window, your old window right here after the sashes come out, that's the most important water management system that you're going to be dealing with. Because again, if this isn't doing what it needs to be doing, where's that water going to go when you just put another window on top of it? It could be possibly going back into the wall, could be doing a lot of things, right? So the one thing we know is we want to push the water away from the house, not invite it in. Does that make sense? So again, our job is to push the water away from the house, which is called water management, not trap it in. Because if I trap it in and water gets down into the knee wall, our friends at Orange Corning tell you it takes 3% moisture, tell that insulation to collapse by 1/3. And unfortunately, it might not be anything to do with the window itself. It might be because the installation you put in there is not the correct installation, which would verify that to be improperly installed, which would void anybody's warranty in the entire industry. Does that make sense? Can you see with what I'm sharing with you here, how that would not be a fit inside your house? See how it's made unique? If you don't make it unique, it's just, it's your opinion. And opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one and they all stink, right? So I don't care about your opinion. What's the raw facts and why is this happening? And what's so unique about this situation? Because if it's unique to that situation, then big things happen, right? So again, it's not about, I think this is a bad idea, we wouldn't warranty this is that thing. No, here's what the builder did. And basically they oversprayed the stucco right on the edges right through here. So you don't know where the paper starts and stops. That's a scary thing. Number 2, basically when they come and do this window, they're going to pop the sashes out here. And then this down here is the most important water management system of the entire house. Unfortunately, let's put the level on this thing to check it out. do you see how basically with the level I put on here, how this thing's not, it's basically not level, right? So the grading on this thing's off just like a gutter. So again, if the water management system in here is broken and no longer working correctly, knowing that's the most important water management system in the entire house, if I put another window over top of that and that's not working correctly, do I want to move water away from the house or do I want to trap it in? So unfortunately, your house is not going to be a candidate because we waited too long to do a retrofit window. Does that make sense? Let me ask you, do you ever think it's a good idea to put another window over top of that and deem it improper installation, which is going to void anybody's warranty in the entire industry? Because everybody you look at, I can show you every warranty known to man, including Pella's, is going to tell you if that window is improperly installed, you void the warranty no matter what. So unfortunately, the condition, the environment have a lot to do with if this window can or cannot be installed this way. So can you see how in your situation, in your house, unfortunately, a retrofit window is not even an option? Because the last thing you want to do is put a window in and not have a warranty on it, right? That make sense?
So in reality, if in fact we do a retrofit installation on a Pella window, is there a potential that Pella's going to come back and say that we didn't install it correctly and invalidate the warranty?
Well, I can tell you right now that Pella does not. They do not want you to do a retrofit window. Well, because if you look at anything in the warranty itself, not just from us, anything in the warranty itself, they tell you they're not responsible for the existing conditions, environment, settlement, all those different things of the house are not their problem. That's why if I were a rep, I would have every freaking warranty known to man. I'd be highlighting all those exclusions, showing them how this is why it's not a good idea. This is why it's not a good idea. This is why it's not a good idea. Can you see that? Improperly installed voids warranty. Improperly installed voids warranty. Improperly installed voids warranty. And with what we're dealing right here, this would be considered 9.9 out of 10 times, basically, if you retrofitted this window improperly installed. Because again, can you, if you put a new window, control what's going on with the old window?
No.
So is there any time you put a new window over this existing old window that new window is going to control that old window?
No.
No, because you're attaching it to the old window. So you're depending on the success of the new window based on the old window's performance. And if you're having to replace that window, it means it's no longer doing what it needs to be doing. So to me, that window, if I'm correct, needs to come out of the house and a new one needs to go back in its place, not put something over top of it because it's cheap, especially knowing it's going to void your warranty.
Can I read you something?
Yep.
Caulking maintenance is the responsibility of the homeowner. It is not considered part of the product and is not covered underneath the warranty. And that is your water management system between your new window and your old window. The one thing that keeps water out of getting into your old window in between the two windows is not covered underneath the warranty.
And not to mention a retrofit is never caulked on the bottom.
So no matter how impervious your glass is, if heat and cold are still going around it, bugs are still crawling up underneath it, it's solving the issues that you're currently having now.
The answer is no. If you also look at building settlement, structural defects, things like that aren't covered underneath it either. So if you pick those warranties up, you can find big things on there that basically will help you get it. But again, your job is to be an actor in that house, right? You're selling the story on why it can't be done. That's why the inspections sell. That's what the biggest part of this thing that sells the whole project is the inspection. And again, if I'm there and I'm talking about why this isn't a candidate and how this would void the warranty based on what's going on through here, and unfortunately we've just waited too long to get to it, that's why this isn't a candidate. Now it makes them take ownership for it. And you get them to admit, based on what we're showing you right through here, is there anything you're ever going to be able to do to change the water management system of this existing window? No. So if I put another window over top of it, is there anything the new window is going to do to correct the old window? Well, no, it's not. So again, you're putting them in a common sense slice of life, right? And common sense isn't common practice, but it's our job out there to remind them what a dumbass idea it is to basically put another window over top of a window and expect a miracle to happen. Because correct me if I'm wrong, that new window only catches water and moisture that happen on the surface, not that happens behind. And unfortunately, people aren't that good at maintenance, which means they don't seal and repaint their stucco every year or every 2 years like they're supposed to. So water will penetrate through and get in between the stucco and basically the paper, allowing that water to still get through the old frame. Remember JC, the lady that we went to the house that had basically the fish bag sitting in between her window? And all the water was being caught in the fish bag in between her old window and her new window because it was leaking through it. Again, that's because, again, water was making it through it, and the old frame was the problem, not the new one. So unfortunately, because they caulked that to the surface, all the water was making it in between the old frame and the new frame, and where the old water management system was no longer working and the window wasn't doing what it needed to be doing, then it basically was literally causing that window to start to bubble and fall off the house. The point where she had a fish bag full of water that she had to take out and put together, making sure that basically that caught all the water because, again, the original window wasn't doing what it needed to do. And telling stories like that in the house and showing pictures and stuff like that, it resonates with people. I mean, you tell them it's, not my opinion on why this can't be done. And I would never do this because I, me, my. No. Okay. Just telling you. Here's what we were trained to look for, and here's how we know this isn't going to work and this would void your warranty. Last thing I'd do is want to put a window in here that's going to void your warranty, and you wouldn't want that either, right? So unfortunately, we've waited too long on the current condition environment, what's going on with this window system. So if we'd have gotten to this years ago, probably could have been done, you'd have been fine. But now basically the water management system is compromised and the old frame is compromised on here. Does it make sense on why you just couldn't put a window over here and expect it to correct the issues and challenges going on with the old one? So how do we correct it? We got to remove it. And if you look at this window, how do you feel you to remove this window out of the wall without damaging everything? So again, you've just built value, right, in the size of the project and what has to happen, not just taking a window out and putting a window in. Here's why my window is so much better than everyone else's window. We don't want to do a retrofit. You want to do a San Diego reflash. Here's why you want to do an SD reflash or a Dreamstyle reflash. No. Why is it relevant in their situation? That's where you got to get to first. That's why I haven't break the window out. I'm about to break the window out and do it. But you first got to have the why before you show how. Before I show how to fix it, what's the why they need it? Make sense? That's 9/10 the battle there. If I get them bought in and sold in the inspection, it makes everything else fly. Then it's not about money. It's not about basically going out and get another cheaper estimate because that estimate's irrelevant because it's not going to do what they need to be doing. And where 95% of the entire market in San Diego only does basically retrofit, and then you can get people that do new home construction, which means they're going to tear everything off, it still makes us unique, right? And being the largest full-service remodeler 2 years in a row, having all the awards we have, having our own contractors that come out, our own stucco guys, our own painters, our own trim carpenters, our own installers, our own project managers on through here, there's no risk. On the other factors, if not, as a normal homeowner, you're going to have to hire a painter. You're going to have to hire a stucco guy. You're going to have to hire a trim carpenter. You're going to have to hire a window installer, right? And then you're going to have to make sure that the paper's done correctly and everything and everybody is working in unison, because if one person doesn't do their job, you voided your warranty, right? So that's why having everybody under one house and having that single source accountability and making sure that all those different trades are under one roof is a big deal. Does that make sense?
And under one warranty.
Yeah. Not basically the painter's going to warranty this and the stucco guy's going to warranty this and here's what's going to happen. It's a big deal. So again,
the biggest weakness to the whole strategy that you're talking about for us, retrofit versus San Diego reflash, I just wish we had a third-party resource that would actually say that, because I say that all the time, that 85, 90% of people are going to retrofit. But the customer, no matter how much they trust me, I mean, I'm basing essentially the sale around
grab
that
the
statement.
warranties, highlight in the warranties where it talks about existing structure defect settlement.
But that's not the difference between retrofit and
100% is.
It is?
It's 100%. The companies, listen, if I'm a manufacturer, Dave, okay, before I go grab the window, if I'm a manufacturer, my job is to write a warranty for what? Why do I write a warranty?
Protection of my business.
Protection of my business, right? I'm protecting myself on why I don't need to pay out claims, right?
Right.
So I'm going to write in everything in there that's not my fault. So if I'm manufacturing windows, is it my fault that that somebody put a window inside of an opening that is racked?
No.
Is it my fault that somebody put something inside of a window that's leaking already? Am I going to cover that?
No, it's not.
Is it my fault that somebody has a roof leak? Now water's coming in between basically the frames of the wall and basically coming in around that?
But it's a leap for a customer to be able to understand in a short presentation.
But listen,
to correlate that.
it's
To
not. Because
retrofit
it's
versus
not at
Sandy
all.
Reef.
Not at all. You just go online, you print out a bunch of warranties, and you read what the exclusions are. And you highlight the exclusions, which talks about settlement, building settlement, or structural defects, or existing conditions based on the house are not part of the warranty. The only thing that manufacturer's warranting is the window itself against defects if installed correctly. Like Geldwin, for instance, if it's not installed to written installation instructions, you will not do it. And there is basically 10 out of 10 installers or 10 out of 10 manufacturers will not warranty an aluminum window that you stick inside of that. You will never find in writing that any manufacturer of any window or door manufacturer is ever going to warranty a frame of a different manufacturer. Would you agree or disagree with that?
That's a good way to look at it right there.
So if I'm let's just say Anderson, if I've got a Pella window and I install an Anderson frame, is Pella going to warranty an Anderson
That's
frame?
a good way to look at it right there. That's
Let me ask, if I put an Anderson window inside of a Pella frame, is Anderson going to warranty the Pella frame?
Yeah.
They're not going to.
That's a really good way to look at it.
So therefore, there's no way that any manufacturer is going to ever warranty another frame. Zero chance.
That's a good way to look at it. I like
Zero
that.
chance.
Thank you.
Dave, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, didn't you drop a letter that you got from a client who said, hey, my stucco guy, my painter told me the same thing? Do you remember this letter about 2 months ago, a month ago?
Told you the same,
He said, well, listen, you told us about the retrofit. And then I was talking to my painter or stucco guy, one of the two. And he said, no, you can't retrofit them because we see all this damage and everything. Wasn't that you?
Might have been.
Yeah, it was
I mean, I've been using the architect.
The architect letter is the best one you're going to do because it talks about even the best windows, if retrofitted, cannot be guaranteed because eventually the sealants, there's no such thing as a permanent silicone because even the best silicones will eventually wear out and separate over time. Therefore, basically leading water to come inside the wall and basically do damage to the existing walls and frames. So when you look at that aspect, you got to pay attention to that thing, and that's a third-party expert opinion, right? That's why I put it right in part of the PowerPoint, the keynote, because it tells you that that's not a good thing to do.
I like to bring that up and then I show them the screenshot.
oh, sit over there.
Yeah.
But the key is if you make the case before you bring the keynote out, that's just validation,
Right.
okay? That's just validation, but I gotta make the case during the inspection, so that way my case is built all around it, right? It's like, say you're a lawyer. This whole thing's kind of like a law case, right? If I'm a lawyer, I need to imprint doubt into the jury's mind before I basically go for my closing statement, right? And all the evidence I create has to be on the doubt I created in the very beginning, and then everything else is evidence until the end that I have my closing statement with buttons and ties everything together, right? It's the same thing. I'm creating my doubt and my shame in the very beginning, and then I'm giving you all the evidence on why this is the fact. And then I'm wrapping everything and tying it all together with my closing statement at the end of it, which makes the conviction look like it's almost guaranteed. So when you look at a window here, I always start with the outside of the window first. I think if you start with the inside of the window, why would you put your best foot forward, right? I always start with the worst first on the outside. So I start at the outside of the window and I just talk about it. Now, there's some things you have to do when you're inspecting the window. Now, you got to basically make sure that you got to make sure you're tying it to the condition, the environment of the house, number one. Okay. So again, this window and all the features, advantages, and benefits are irrelevant if it's not important to them in their house. So don't ever just be show and tell or Vanna White. John Mary, look at the beautiful, basically Duracast framing. It's not about that. It's about tying it to what's going on in the house. John Mary, hey, just real quick. we go to the outside. One of the things I want to talk about on your house, right? You currently got aluminum windows in there. We talked about you didn't want to lose a lot of glass space, right? You want to make sure we maximize the frames, or we talked about the water management system that happened on the bottom of it. So we took the level on through there. So we wanted to make sure again that nothing was going to rack or get out of square. Talked about like a gutter, like so on the top, when we talk about water management, if I put a gutter up front and that gutter's not graded correctly and water's basically being trapped inside the gutter, eventually that's going to put a lot of weight on the gutter and cause it to separate or do a lot of damage to it. So water management's a big deal. So again, we shared with you earlier that number one, before we got into this, we couldn't even do a retrofit if we wanted to because we waited too long for that process. So knowing that old framing on there was jacked up and basically no longer doing what it needed to be doing, that had to be come out of there. So after we basically got the whole window out and we put the window in and we re-flash and fix the water management system, now we got to make sure the window's going to do what it needs to do. Because the window's not going to do what it needs to do. We're kind of just throwing our money away, right? So two things I really like to point out here on the bottom is there's two weep holes that sit on this. There's not 4 or 5 or basically anything that sets on there because we're worried about water getting stuck in the track. The cool thing where we use Duracast, right? Duracast, I shared with you earlier, probably the claims department from our legal department said it's the strongest and most durable material available out there on the market. So we look at it, we got to make sure that number one, the water is going to flow through here correctly. Okay. What happens is on the west side of your house right through there, that sun is beating down like crazy. I think all of us were sweating a little bit when we were out on that side of the house. Not to mention you can see the fading on everything that was going around there that came in. So what happens if a vinyl product were to be put on that side of the house, all your weight when you look at that is distributed right here in the middle, right? So all that weight sits there and all that glass is basically putting a lot of basically weight and pressure right there on the middle. So one of the reasons why we didn't tell you vinyl was a good fit there is because where that weight comes down, eventually at 121 degrees is basically what they use to shape and bend vinyl, right? So we didn't want that weight to basically put a lot of pressure on there, which creates almost like a crowning in the bottom of the water management system. So one of the reasons we use the Duracast, we tell you on there, we don't want water to make it through the opening and then just be sitting here inside the window frame itself. That wouldn't correct the water management system, right? That would cause it to come back to the weep holes on the inside and back up inside the house, which we don't want to have happen. So again, when we put the water management system down here on the bottom of it, on the left and the right-hand side, one of the reasons we use a Duracast is basically to make sure that we keep those lineals as strong as possible, especially when we make them a lot smaller than you're going to find out there in the industry, to allow that water to basically be able to flow down kind of like its own internal gutter system, to allow that water management to be pushing out of the house and never have to worry about this putting enough pressure on the frame to warp that or bow it. So we know that constantly that water is being pushed away from the house, so the water management system is doing what it needs to be doing, okay? And that's that bottom part right there we call the water management, which is probably one of the most important parts of this window. Would you agree with that? Because again, we want to invite the water to move away from the house, not invite it back inside the house, right?
But it really doesn't rain out here that much.
But when it does, it pours, right? And Dave, like we shared about earlier when we did the inspection, we don't do the windows for the everyday. We do it for when we get those extremes. Because we get those extremes. I mean, there's some times where, man, I think last year it rained more than it rained in the last several years, right?
Yeah.
And with global warming or whatever else is going on through here, we don't know if that's going to be a continual trend. And if we're not preparing for the worst and really preparing for the best, what happens when it does rain and now you got water coming inside the house? So again, we need to make sure this is done not only for the day, but so you don't have to touch it later down the road, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next thing. So when we take the frame and everything sets back around here, we talked about maybe not being able to afford to do everything at once, right? So the important thing is making sure that this looks like it blends in with the rest of the house, at least the frame styles. Now, we walked to the back and you talked about just starting with 2, which is why I told you we needed to look at the entire back of the house so everything kind of blends together. So at least we know we got one side of the house complete. But the cool thing is the frame distance isn't going to look that much different than what you currently have inside the house, especially with the installation method we're doing. So again, we want to minimize those frames. 2, on the outside, what we do is we powder coat everything, just like your Harley Davidsons or basically your John Deere tractors. That powder coated finish on there allows this thing to basically withstand, number one, the way the material's done with the sea salts that we come in through here, so that stuff's not tearing down. Secondly, the UV rays of the sun aren't going to tear this up, because just like your John Deere green or basically your Harley Davidson motorcycles you leave out there all day long, And it's going to take 20, 30 years for that thing to even see any signs of basically decay from the UV rays of the sun. So again, we want to make sure this thing looks as good today as it does 20, 30 years down the road. And you said that was important to you, right? You say you didn't want to have to replace your windows again. Secondly, when you take the screen comes out nice and easy. So again, I can take the screen out from the inside of the house. And the reason we do a half screen is because of security, right? We used to for this, we had a brand of window that you can literally walk up to at any time and pop the window out from the outside of it with no security measures, which means that somebody, if they were smart enough to know that, could cut your screen, lift the window right out of the opening, and then be right inside your house without any effort. So again, we wanted to make sure that when we looked at the different window lines we did, the security was the big measure, because you did say security is important to you, right, Lamar?
Yes.
So again, making sure that this is fixed in place. So when this window constantly is closing and shutting, we know this is securing against a window that is fixed in place. So we know that that security side of it is a big deal for us, right? So we know, again, that does two things. It works on something they call DP, which is design pressure, which allows this window to stop air infiltration from coming in. And when we walk it on the inside through here, I'm going to show you a couple things. You see this little lip that goes around the outside track here? This is what protects the actual sash itself and allows it to create a 90-degree angle. Because the whole purpose is we want to create 90-degree angles around here, which stop air from actually traveling back inside the house. You know, earlier we shared with you a 16th-inch gap around a normal 3 by 5 foot window is like a brick missing out of the house. And I asked you how long it would take you to fix that, and you said you'd fix it right away if there was a gap like that, right? So again, we want to make sure we stop that air infiltration coming in, because there's no way we can turn our air conditioner up or down enough to make a difference on the inside of the house, right? So on the outside, again, with the sleek profile and everything we have on here, is there any questions about anything on the outside that I didn't cover that interest you? Or any questions you have? Okay. Well, I'm going to flip it around real quick. I'm going to explain the screen to you. Okay. The screening itself, we use stainless steel clips on it. And the stainless steel clips are designed so that way you don't get rusting and you don't get that like kind of the racking when you get the wind coming, where you ever hear one of those screens that kind of drives you crazy at mom's house or dad's house or something to that nature. Other thing is the screening itself is made of 6063 T5 aluminum alloy. It's a zinc, magnesium, and silicone is baked to a T5 hardness. What it does, it creates strength in the frame, okay? So again, that strength in the frame just allows it so it's not a flimsy one, kind of like the one you kind of have. You said, I asked you to take your screen out. You said you couldn't because it would fall apart. You never get it back in again. So again, what we're going to do, and I'm going to put this in their hands and have them touch and feel it. The other thing is, basically we use corner keys. And these corner keys get put in the corner just to make sure it gives it a nice attractive finish, and we don't have an unfinished edge there. So that corner key allows that to basically get a completely finished off edge, making sure that that's going to take care of and basically have that nice finished off look, so it doesn't make the screen look like it was an afterthought. The next thing is we actually use something called a memory mesh. And the memory mesh that we use inside here just allows us to basically poke a little hole in it. As we poke a hole in it, the screening material will find its way back to form. So again, basically that memory mesh allows it to come. Now don't get me wrong, if you stabbed and ripped into it, you're going to tear anything. But it's just a lot more durable screen. And not to mention it protects against the grasshoppers or anything like that. They would come out and try to get on top of it. And it's just a more of a pliable, durable screen that sits on side of that, okay? That memory mesh. Any questions about the screen?
What's the screen made of?
The screen itself? It's a PVC coated fiberglass screen is what it is. So it's got a PVC coating that's baked onto the fiberglass itself, which is recreates that memory mesh. Okay. Is there any other questions you got about the screen? Okay. So basically, when it comes to screens, is there anything else you're looking for into it? I mean, we do have different cloth materials that we can do that are a little more visible if you choose to do that. Or do you like the memory mesh? Okay. Is there anything else you're looking for in a screen?
Yeah, warranty. Does the warranty cover the screen if it gets torn?
Let me ask you, Dave, is that important to you?
Kind of is, because we have like 3 casts.
Okay, well, cool. In a minute, I'll show you exactly what the warranty is going to cover. Is that okay? Perfect. All right.
So that's a no, right?
What's that?
That's a no.
Okay. Let me read the warranty. What does the warranty say, Dave?
No.
What does the warranty say, Dave?
It says no.
What does it say, Dave? It says no on TrueScene, like the TrueScene type, or basically what we call the InView. That we'll cover it. We'll cover that under the warranty.
Oh, really?
Screen repair will cover. All right, so they can actually, remember, they can drop it off at our facility, and then basically we can rescreen it while they're at lunch, or basically we can send somebody out there to take care of it for them. That's purpose on why any defective materials that are based on through that. And if it's an accident or they tear it or something, then basically they can bring it in. We'll rescreen it for them in our warehouse. If not, we'll send somebody back out there. It's not a big deal.
Cool.
Okay. We're not going to lose a customer because we're going to charge them for screen cloth, which costs us literally nothing. So on this nature too, the windows, they glide nice and easy. One of the reasons why I love this on our Duracast material, Duracast, when it's actually manufactured, has a 5-layer process. And we kind of shared with you a little thing on it earlier, which talks about all those different processes onto it. But the purpose is where they weave the mat nice and tight through there. You don't have to worry about expansion contraction where you do a lot of them, right? Sometimes in the summer, windows are really hard to move, right? Sometimes the winter, they're really loose. So again, we want to make sure that the windows stay consistent with the home. So again, with the expansion contraction side of it, this is allowing, because the glass and the frame move at the same almost the same exact rate, because both are made of silica sand and basically water, which is like the mixture. So it's pretty cool when you see the carbon fibers and everything that's put in the way this thing's manufactured, that the fact that they almost expand and contract at the same rate is a gigantic deal. So again, you don't have to worry about the expansion and contraction and things settling over time. One of the biggest problems that happen in gliding windows especially is you'll see basically frames start to warp right here and start to warp right here because of the heat of the sun or basically the added pressure or weight of the glass. They can't stand up. So you'll see people try to jam metal reinforcements all the way around these things. But the fact we build the windows so strong, we don't have to worry about those. Because again, when you're dealing a window, the size of the window that you have inside of there, you want to make sure you don't have to worry about this thing warping, especially in the direct sunlight. Because correct me if I'm wrong, in San Diego, basically 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we get to deal with that beautiful thing called the sunlight outside. And as beautiful as it is, it also does a lot of destruction and damage to products inside the house, right? Especially being trapped around stucco, which is a big hot material. This is one of the reasons, again, why we love that material. Secondly, we take this window out. We have basically weather stripping that has a Mylar fin that sets all the way around this product, right? And that Mylar fin works like a Ziploc. I just really picked it up and pulled it out.
Just like,
Yeah, just like this.
just like.
So again, you take the window out, again, you basically have your wool weather stripping with your Mylar fin. That Mylar fin you set around the outside, you hear that? Kind of acts like a Ziploc bag. So when that thing comes together, it zips the freshness in and it catches any of that dirt and debris in between the weather stripping. So it allows that to come through. So we don't use basically the gaskets or basically things like on your dishwasher, because unfortunately like your dishwasher, your refrigerator, which can be cool gaskets, those aren't designed to withstand heat from the UV rays of sun. So those end up drying out, cracking, shrinking, a lot of those other things into it. If this ever goes bad, we can just go ahead and replace the weather stripping itself and give you a new Mylar fin that's covered underneath your warranty aspect on there too. Secondly, we put our sashes together, because again, we love this being fixed because it allows the window itself to stay into place. So we're closing that along a fixated sash, not another one that's moving. So if you ever see ones that are moving, you can move them in the sashes, and then both sashes kind of move around, which creates a place where air can leak back around the opening itself, right? And again, if it's 80 degrees outside, or if it's basically 9 degrees outside, and I'm trying to keep it 68 to 70 degrees on the inside of it, I don't want any place where that heat can actually be coming in or cool in the winter, which is causing my furnace or air conditioner to kick on and off, right? And we're going to show you a little bit. We show you the glass package, making sure that you can see how much utilities you're going to save just by the glass. But if the frame sucks and it's not doing what it needs to be doing, that glass is irrelevant. So again, this has to kind of stay in that same place. So again, we have our Mylar fin. The second thing is where basically the interlocking medium rail comes. One of the most fascinating things is they come together like this. They don't come together like most of them, which just kind of rub together. They actually come together and they lock tight. Now, we didn't just stop it where they kind of lock tight together, because it's like taking your fist, right? If I'm like this, I can pull your fist apart all day long, but if I'm grabbing tight, that's another thing. That's another thing, basically, it's going to keep it tight. The next thing we do is we actually put a bulb seal, which actually sits there and never sees the light of day. But when the two sashes come together, that seal system that you're going to find in there is what's going to cause an extra form of weather protection in between where the two sashes come together, which is going to allow that thing to seal even more airtight in the middle. So when this thing comes together, that's not only packing in the freshness right through here. When the lock actually comes together and engages, one of the cool things about the lock you'll see, it's integrated, which means basically it gets fatter the more it turns. Okay, so it starts out skinny and then gets fatter, and the reason it does that with the integrated is it basically allows that thing as it keeps turning to pull tighter and create a better seal in the middle. This is basically the only residential rating this is the only residential window that actually is strong enough to have a commercial rating. Therefore, where you get into a lot of residential windows on third floors and especially fourth floors, they don't meet commercial ratings. So the cool thing about the design pressure on this window is designed to take up to a 5th to a 6th-story floor without having any problems about performance, right? Because when you deal with the windows, it's appearance, performance, and durability. And all three things together kind of matter. And I can't control something that basically isn't going to do what I need to do in the environment. Now, the other thing, when this is closed in place, the nice thing about the low profiles is you'll see the granular texture on here designs it to look more like a painted wood. So we're on here, we didn't want to have that glossy finish, look like a plastic window. We wanted to kind of have that basically finish when it sets onto here to make it look like a wood window from a distance, okay? But we also wanted to keep the frame so narrow in the profile, so sleek, that it also isn't going to be a completely different change and then completely change your paradigm on your current windows, because the only good thing about aluminum windows is you get a lot of glass space and your viewing capability out of the thing is gigantic. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but we live in San Diego for a reason, because we want to look through our windows, not at them, right? So rather than treating these things like a piece of furniture, we want to basically have the nicest looking window we can have and still maximize the most glass that we can have inside it, right? Let me ask you, can you see with the Duracast material and everything you're creating, not even talking about the glass pack, but the water management system, basically the way that we finish off with basically the powder coated finish on top of the thing, the weather stripping that we put around there, how we've stopped basically the infiltration coming in. We're going to talk about convection and basic conduction in a second when we talk about the glass pack on through here. But let me ask you, as far as color is concerned, design, basically, the weather stripping, the performance of the window, the inside, the outside, is there any questions you have about it?
No.
Is there anything I didn't cover that's important to you that you'd want from a window that I didn't share with you?
Nope.
Okay, well, let me ask you, when it comes time so far, glass aside, is there anything else you'd be looking for in a window system when you go ahead and put one inside your house?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the glass pack.
Question. You were talking about the commercial rating suit and this suitable for third, fourth, fifth stories. Is that because of wind loads?
That's because wind loads. DP rating is like a design pressure. Wind loads variance, basically, because your wind loads are a lot higher on a second, third, fourth story. So again, we have to make sure we're doing the little things that add up the big things on it. So a DP, you can get a Impervia door that's a DP 50, which is phenomenal. It's off the chart, right? Most of your residential windows or doors are basically a DP 30, yeah, which means basically they're not going to meet your design pressure on a third, fourth, fifth floor at all, not even get close to it. You're just basically pretty much throwing something inside the house. It's not going to work long term.
And these have a DP of what?
The windows are a DP 40. The doors get up to DP 50, and all that stuff is available for you to look at on basically your ADM.
So tell me how DP rating would affect me in a third story.
It's design pressure. It's the amount of pressure that is put on. Because like when you take a third story.
I know, I guess I'm asking for a slice of life. What would that be like inside my house?
Well, it's basically, what happened is basically your seals can break faster when you're on a third or fourth floor. Your seals can break faster. Your glass can basically suction together. You ever seen what looks like a rainbow? Fourth, basically, it can create a pressure which hurts your ears, and basically or lets a lot of air leakage that comes into it. You can do a lot of damage to the window itself. So if you have the wrong design pressure on a certain thing, second thing is it can actually cause the window to start to rack and crush. You can actually break frames and stuff. That's why basically when you get up there high, like you get into a lot of your commercial buildings, they make them be aluminum windows because the strength of the aluminum window with the nailing flange on there is the tensile strength's a lot stronger, right? When you get a window that's sitting independent on its own, then you've got to worry about how the window itself is manufactured, right? Secondly, in the chemical keys that we put in the corners, we put basically the keys that sit in the corner of that thing, and we inject polyurethane inside of there, so we don't have to worry about basically any leakage or anything like that happening in the corners. So we inject that polyurethane in the corners. That allows basically this thing to seal up as tight as day. So we've corrected any of the challenges that would happen with normal fiberglass, right? We call it Duracast because Duracast is what it is. It's not fiberglass, it's Duracast, okay? Call it fiberglass, you're going to swim in a sea of sameness because you're going to go against Marvin. You're going to go against basically, who's the other one? Milgard, right? Milgard. And then they carry fiberglass windows, so you're going to be considered a fiberglass window. This isn't fiberglass, this is composite. That's why it's called Duracast, right? That's the reason why basically Better Home, or not Better Homes, Consumer Reports rated this the #1 composite window in the market because, again, the minimal expansion and contraction. Basically, maximum amount of glass space we're having on through there, which allows to go. Basically, water management system you allow to know what to do because it's not going to work from the heat and basically work from basically the pressure and the weight of the glass inside of there. And allows basically the finish because, again, the powder coated finish is going to protect it. So unlike basically the boat which sets in the water, with all the sea salts that you got to wax and seal every time you get out, that's purpose using the powder coat, right? Secondly, you got the basically hammer handles with the impact resistant. That's the reason we weave the mat a certain way and we don't have loose fibers on there, right? When you take normal fiberglass, they're loose fibers when it's heated, they heat that resin up, which causes it to get in a form. So when that gets extruded into the hammer handle, that's an extrusion process, right? So eventually, you can nail that thing enough and it's going to be impact resistant. But again, you wouldn't want to leave that sitting out in the sun day in and day out for long periods of time because eventually it would break off that finish coat and then you'd be screwed. Because you ever get a fiberglass or a fiberglass splinter? That's crazy, right? Same thing as ladders, right? They take the ladder lintels that set on the side of it. The rings are made of aluminum, but the lintels are made of fiberglass, right? And that fiberglass basically is strong as all hell, where you could take a 300-pound guy up basically 4 flights, 4 stories, and basically you're going to be fine with it. Basically, your firemen use them for ladders and different things of that nature. But again, when they park them, they don't park them on the side of the road. They park them inside basically the building, right? So again, we want that same kind of strength without having the deterioration that's happening from the UV rays of the sun. We take basically like you take the fiberglass cords or cables that happen on basically a bridge. Again, the same thing is those bridges sit out there all day long, but they've got to refinish and wax and seal the fiberglass cords on those things every couple of years, or they'll start to break down and disintegrate. That's why what they came together with this product is so impressive. Now, I watched them do a test where they took 180 miles an hour and they put pressure from out and then they sucked the pressure in, and they did that test 21 times without any deflection rate happening to the corners, didn't break the glass or any of the seals around that thing. They literally had 21 marks on the window itself on how many times they successfully tested that window at 180 miles an hour with an inward pressure and an outward pressure, and nothing ever happened to it.
How fast was that inward-outward pressure? Was it over a period of time, or?
They
literally push it for a minute, pull it for a minute? Or?
It's about 2 minutes is what they do.
Each one?
Push it out for a minute and then suck it in for a minute. And that seems like you're scared to death of glass. You can see literally the frames and the glass pulling in and seeing the frames and the glass pulling out.
Wow.
And one of the claims to fame is because the product is so strong is why that happens. I watched them try to do it on a vinyl window. It broke the vinyl window in half.
That'd be a killer screenshot.
Yeah, it broke the vinyl window in half. It was pretty cool to see the difference in between. So, I mean, really, why I want to do that this morning on this window is a kick-ass window. If you focus on what it is and not what it isn't. If you try to focus on basically, negatives in any window, you can always find a negative in any window, but there's more positives to this window than there are negatives. So when you look at the aspect, especially in San Diego, and basically, heat protection and maximum amount of glass space. Our old window lines work good if you live in the Midwest and you don't care about what your view is outside, right? But if you care about what your view is in San Diego, which is basically beautiful, you don't want to lose basically 9 inches of glass space, right? 9 inches of glass space from side to side, right? 4.5 on the top, 4.5 on the bottom, which is 9. So you're losing 9 square foot or 9 square inches around the entire window, which means you just took all that glass and you just sucked it in to where basically you've lost so much glass outside there, it doesn't even feel like the same house anymore.
What's that,
right?
about 3.5?
That's 3 inches all the way around.
I
Just
drove
three?
past the house yesterday in Poway, and I ended up losing, it was an Adobe house, big job. And she didn't want to lose glass space, and I drove by and they have, pretty certain that their fellow windows, that their Impervia windows that are inside our house. And we're Anderson.
So the fact of the matter is that, and then when you follow it up with the glass pack presentation, and you do your glass pack presentation correctly, and you ask them, let me ask you, how much money do you think you'll save off utilities? 25 to 40%, and they're boom, right? So you take the glass pack presentation, you take a single piece of glass, talk about glass has an R value less than 1, right? Glass has an R value less than 1. So let me ask you, basically, if your walls have an R12 to R15, your roof has an R30 to R45 inside of it, right? And you've got an R value less than 1. When it's hot in front of the window, generally, where do you pull your chair? In front of the wall, right? Why do you pull it in front of the wall? Because I'm going to be comfortable. So again, what you're telling me is you want your window to work like your wall, but you want to be able to see through it, right? So next, if it's got an R value less than 1, here, hold this and tell me when you feel it. Put the heat on. I feel it right away. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and put it right through here. Tell me when you feel it. Oh my God, it's hot. So again, on the BTU meter, that's reading, from 500 down to basically 425, whatever it might be, or 375, whatever it might be. Okay. Now, if I got a dual pane of glass, now that gives me an R value. If it's less than 1 on 1 pane of glass, how many is 2 panes of glass? Well, it's less than 2. Okay. So again, it's talking about insulation. We're talking about that insulation value. If it's less than 2, tell me when you feel the heat. I feel it almost immediately. Great. So again, that takes from 375 to about down to 325. Right. So I'm talking about 325 BTUs. You can still feel the heat on through there. How good of a job is that doing making you comfortable inside your house?
Not.
Well, it's not. So let me ask you, would you consider putting the window like that in your house no matter what? Is it going to fix the problem you call us out here for?
Nope.
No. Now let's talk about industry standard low E, right? They basically put the low E in front of there, right? So again, that takes it down to like 285. So I take it down to 285 and I you put this on here. How long is it going to take you to feel it? Good. Now it's like the window in the back of your car. The tint's a little darker on the back of your car. But eventually, if the sun's beating on there long enough, that heat's still going to get through there. This is time to absorb heat at the surface, right? And as it absorbs heat at the surface, the more heat that sets on there, eventually it's going to come through and make you uncomfortable. But again, the purpose is if you don't have your air conditioner on the car, how hot does your car get, right? So again, it's basically designing to help slow down that hot to cold transfer or the heat transfer. But again, it does nothing in the wintertime, which we're going to show you in a few minutes, right? So again, let me ask you, do you feel like low E glass by itself is going to do that good of a job for you? No. Let me show you what we do a little different. Before we do that, if I packed up, 1 pane of glass, 2 pane, there's 3, and the dual pane here's 5 panes of glass. If I had 7 panes of glass sitting right here in one window, basically, and you put your hand behind there, can you feel it? Oh yeah, it's a lot better. Yeah. I mean, how expensive do you think a window like that would cost? What, 3-4 grand a piece? Yeah, probably, at least. Just on a basic 3x5, right? So you take that, I mean, even now that's that thick, I mean, how well can you see through it? So obviously that would even be an option, but again, it's not even working that well because again, glass by itself, it is not an insulator, right? So let me show you what we've done with our sun defense glass, right? Now again, we have 21 microscopic layers. We've got basically the glass package itself, 90% argon, 10% nitrogen fill. We set this inside of it. I want you to go ahead and tell me what this has done for you. Holy crap, 7. Yeah, can you see, let me ask you, we're 7. I want you to go ahead and put your hand up here. I want you to feel it, right? And I'll put it in their hand, have them feel it again. Well, I can't feel it at all. So let me ask you, if I'm trying to make your window work like your wall, how well of a job did we do? Did pretty good. This is without me even doing the winter. If I want to turn around and do the winter months, I can really screw with their head. But if I stopped right there and I did a half-ass glass pack presentation, let me ask you, based on what you have now and what I just shared with you, and not to mention with the glass pack, let me ask you, how much money do you think, Dave, you would save? Our average customer right here says they'd save anywhere from 25 to 40% off the utilities. How much do you think you'd save based on what I showed you?
Well, I'm only doing 4 of my 16 windows, so probably 25% of at least 25% or 40%.
Well, it could be. So, but eventually, let me ask you, Dave, are you the type of person, if you start something, you're going to finish it?
Yeah, I'm going to probably do these windows at some point in time, but I don't know when.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and look at what your potential savings are going to be, and maybe we can make it make sense. And then we can also take a look at what percentage you might feel like you would save off it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. And then basically I'm going to do my return on investment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, that's why I asked that question. You see what type of purpose you're going to start something, you're going to finish it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to get that commitment from you. I'm going to show you what to look forward to, because maybe I can get you to go in on more by showing you what those savings are going to be. But if I, again, get you to commit, that you're going to save 30% or 25% or 35%, now I can write that down because you just took ownership of it.
Mm-hmm.
So now after I'm done with that, I showed the glass pack, I showed the window. And I ask you guys, based on everything you called us out here today to take care of, which was the leaks that were coming through the windows, was the heat that was coming through and making you guys uncomfortable and fading the carpets and floors. Not to mention, basically, you didn't want the warping of the frame. You didn't want to lose a ton of glass space, and we couldn't keep the old window frames in here. As far as the installation, the window itself, have we taken care of all the problems you call us out here to take care of?
Mm-hmm.
Is there, and then basically as far as the color, design, style, have we chosen all the things that are important to you? Let me ask you, Mike, what did you love the most about the window? And I showed it to you.
I like the fact that it's going to be a barrier to the heat.
It's going to take care of that biggest problem why you called me out here today, which is the heat, right? If it didn't take care of it, you wouldn't even consider putting it inside your house, right? So let me ask you, when it comes time, Mike, is this the window system not only you need, but want when it comes time to do the project inside your house? Is there anything else you're looking for?
So, I think that-
Okay, cool. Well, I think you're really going to like what I can show you. Give me a few minutes to sit down here and make sure I got everything right. And then after that, I'm sure really there's nothing besides, price or payment's going to keep us from moving forward today, right? Okay, so boom. So there are some commitments, right? So again, when you get into this, I can do that same window presentation 15 different ways based off what they share with me in the house. Because again, I need to make sure if my inspection, there's certain things that really bug them about the windows and certain fears and anxieties they have, I need to write that down. So when I'm showing that window, literally, I can take the piece of paper based off everything they gave me, and I can put a line through it. Or I can take the inspection form on the top of it, and I can put a line through everything they said was important to them and show them how we've taken care of all those things on their house, right? So again, that's where we get into making a big difference, because again, if I make this sing and dance based on this is the perfect window they found in the world, that's just the only window that's going to take care of all the problems and conditions and environments they call us out, but that window is not going to install itself. So the installation and not doing the retrofit, and here's why we need to do basically the San Diego reflash or Dream Style reflash inside of here. Okay, here's why this has to be done this way. Is there anything else you're looking for in a window or door system? No. So it sounds like to me when it comes time, this is the window or door system you would want when it did come time, right? Is there anything else you're looking for?
Nope.
Nothing. Right, good, great. So great. So it sounds like to me, I think you're really gonna love what I put together for you, right? But it sounds like to me, really, if everything's a fit, there's nothing besides price or payments can keep us moving forward today, right?
I don't think so.
Cool. I think let me see what I can do for you. I think you're gonna like it. Boom. I've got my basically commitments through there. I've tied everything back to their house, not just basically in general. And I'm getting my commitments. And I get my commitments not only on how much money they think they're going to save on the utilities. I get my commitments that we've taken care of all the problems on the house, and we've got the right colors, design, solutions. And then now basically it's just about making it about the money. And if I get your commitment, it's nothing besides the money before I even get started or I even made it sexy. It's good. I can ask again right after I can go. So I made sure they didn't just hear me. They know I said it. Because at this point, I've got confidence because they found their car keys, right? They lost them. We got their car keys right here. Everything's a fit. So if everything's a fit, I know I got you right where I want you. Because again, just like my legal firm, right? If I'm in a court of law, I found out what the problems and why it happened, right? Earlier, I made my case. I presented the evidence, which basically convinced them that I've taken care of all the evidence. I've shown the evidence on why that's the problem. And now at the end of it, when I roll my romance, that's just my closing arguments on why this is the perfect fit for them, right? They're the jury. I've got to sell them in my closing arguments on why this is the best thing since sliced bread that they've ever seen that's going to take care of the problems and challenges they've been dealing with on their house. And they already know it's costing them more money because we can't do a retrofit because they waited too long because everything's racked and not a square. Now, the only thing they can do is basically remove that whole entire frame. So if you went any longer, what's going to happen? So it sounds like to me, really, some size price or payment is going to keep us from getting started on the project today, right?
Right.
If at least we could take care of those 4 windows that you said were the biggest problem, I'd at least say we need to start there, right? So again, when you get into this, excitement creates excitement, right? Motivation, your motivation's coming from fixing their problems. And you have to feel like, they got to feel like, man, they see this window and you just showed them that window, they want that window and you're not leaving there until they get that window. If Mary and John are fighting, or John doesn't want to spend the money and Mary's been married to him for 25 years and she wants the windows and he doesn't, John, look at Mary. You know, you want these windows, don't you? And let me ask you, is this everything that you wanted? Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, you know she deserves these, right? I know you don't want to spend the money, but obviously you're going to have to spend the money at some point. You don't want to spend it on the wrong stuff, do you? You know, after 25 years, this would be a hell of a thank you. You know, whatever it might be, you got to find ways to do it. I always like to joke around. I don't suggest you do this, but I generally make them laugh enough. I'm in the house. I'll have them look. Say, John, look at Mary for me real quick, right? After 25 years of being together, I want you to look at her and tell her she doesn't deserve these windows. I'll start laughing, but then she looks at him and goes, So basically, I said, I'm just kidding, guy. I don't want to cram, but you know you need them, you know you want them, and the most important thing is can you afford them? If you answer yes to all 3 of those, let me welcome you to your ceremony. So again, get them excited. That's the proof behind the pudding. You know, but before any of that stuff is relevant, that inspection has to be spot on. And remember, in the inspection, you gotta make their house and their situation they called you out for feel special and unique. If you don't make every house you walk into feel special and unique, then literally you're just treating it like every other appointment.
What's the difference between special and unique?
Their situation.
No, but when you say special and unique, are you talking about basically just unique? Or are you
Make the project sound and feel bigger than what they think it is, right? So that's why I'm telling you, when we look at the windows or doors and you're inspecting them, even if you don't see anything wrong, think about racking, think about settling, think about basically looking at the frames. How would this come out of here? You know, the guy that did the stucco, he oversprayed this. You know, the guy that trimmed it in too far. You know, so you couldn't even do a retrofitting if you wanted to. If you did, you'd void your warranty immediately. And I think if we'd have gotten to this maybe a couple of years ago, maybe the settlement might not have happened. But when I'm looking at this right now, you know, this wouldn't even be an option for it because you'd void your warranty. And let me show you right in the warranty where it says this would be voided. I said, and obviously every manufacturer's out for themselves. They're not out for you. Not everybody's out there just to give you a lifetime warranty because you want a lifetime warranty, right? So again, when you look at this type of thing, how many times do you want to do this project? They're telling you right here, they've got 10 different ways from Sunday to get out of the warranty. So who are you going to trust when there is a problem? How many numbers do you want to call? So again, fear, doubt, and pain. Remember, 8, 11 receptors of the brain are based off fear, 3 are based off gain. If you're focusing on how much better it's going to make their life and not making them own and put them in a slice of life of what could go wrong and the challenges, and here's why these challenges are here, and here's why they're relevant, and would you like me to share that with you? Then you're just yapping. And again, verbal vomit gets you nowhere. But again, if you're tying it to pain, condition, environment, and what's going on and why it's unique in their house, I promise you, the dollars will follow. The dollars will follow. And you go into a door, and especially if they tell you they're shopping you, and they're having 3 or 4 estimates out. If you don't make that feel like the most unique thing in the world and talk about other things that no one else is talking about, and not just talk about we don't do retrofit, we do this, and here's why. No, here's why it's important in your situation and your environment, and here's why we have to do it. Because again, if I just put something over this frame, it's not going to change it. And I love that analogy. If I put a Anderson window in a Pella frame, would Anderson cover the Pella frame? No, and vice versa. If Pella put a window inside an Anderson frame, would Pella warranty the Anderson frame? No. So again, it gets people thinking in real life circumstances, not just, well, they're going to cover an aluminum window. Let me ask you this. If you owned a manufacturing facility and you started manufacturing windows tomorrow, and basically your warranty was going to cover anything that happened on that house. Would you let somebody put your product inside of another product that failed and warrant it?
No.
Why?
Because it's already stupid.
Because you're setting your own product up to fail, you're setting your own product up to get a bad name.
Well, think about it. That's why our industry has such a bad name, is because people try to find the path of least resistance, and when you focus only on price, that's what you get. But again, you put them in a slice of life that they can understand and let them see how stupid what they're talking about is, then literally you're building a case for yourself that at the end you can't lose.
Right.
Make sense?
So I'm putting levels on windows in every house now. And the majority of the time, they're pretty level. I'm carrying my back pocket. I'm saying, I'll put it on there. If it's square, I'm not talking about it. That's the majority of the time, but if it's not, then obviously I'm gonna bring it up to that point.
Well, the point is you don't put it in one spot. You have to put it in several spots on the front. So when you look at that aspect, you got to put it there. You got to put it sideways. How do you know it's not out of square this way? Right? You don't still put it sideways. You got to put it this way because maybe it's tipping in or out. Right?
Okay.
So you don't know.
I haven't been doing that. I've been doing it all the way around this way, but not this way. So
And if you have a 3-inch frame, if you got a 3-inch frame and a 2.5-inch frame, and you're putting a 3-inch frame on a 2.5-inch frame, so something's supposed to set a 1/2 inch hanging off a window for the rest of its life and not ever have damage to it. You think windows are manufactured to hang 1/2 inch off an existing frame? Never, right? Then you got to take like a RBA window that's 4.25 inches, right? Now you're hanging almost 2 inches off the side of a window for the existence of your entire life, and you think that window is basically made of part vinyl is ever going to last? Basically, hanging 2 inches off the side of a window for the existing time it's ever in the house. And if you even put a wood block on the inside of it, and that condensation happens from that aluminum, what good could possibly happen with just basically cutting corners? Nothing's going to happen.
JC was talking about it this way, so I'm going this way, the way I do this, do it this way to see if we.
Is the phone your level?
No, I carry a level in my back pocket.
No, but I'm saying,
Yeah, but the phone's my level.
oh, okay, so you're going this way.
But if you do it that way, the back frame is always smaller than the front frame.
Find your worst window.
You know,
Or stick it where they would
What
put
you,
the caulking.
yeah, what you can
On the
also do is
outside.
just do it on the front door. Look at like I said, that the biggest eyeball catching thing you can do is when I take my shoes off and I'm walking through, I close the door. I look at the gap up at the top left, top right hand corner of the door immediately. And then I point that out and I tell them, if your big door, which probably weighs how much more than your windows, how much more do you think your door weighs than your windows?
200 pounds.
Yeah, probably, 2 to 3 times, not 4 times the amount, right? So if your big gigantic doors rack like that, what's going to cause your windows to do anything different? I've been using that line for 15 years and it works every single time, because when they see that gap, then their mind starts going and thinking everything else is like it.
Okay, let me ask you. So I say that in the house and they go, well, yeah, it's that much weight hanging on 3 hinges where these are sitting on tracks. Your analogy doesn't work.
Yes, it does. Then you walk back outside and you look at their house, right? If you look at basically the frames on a window, you stand back from the outside and just look at their frames of their windows, you'll see they look racked. There's not a single house you walk into the windows are exactly square and level. 0 times, because again, the framing of the house is going to rack the framing of the house no matter what. So the hinges on through there, you can open up and look at the hinges. There's lots of different things you can do, but that where somebody might call you out on that once. And if you're claiming that is the gospel, that's not the gospel. That's one out of basically 100 homeowners might say that to you.
I was just wanting to, so when it does happen, I'm trying to get ahead of it. That's all.
I tell you that 9 out of 10 times, 9.9 out of 10 times, that will never happen once you show them that and you talk about the relevance. Because again, if I tell you that's that, but if I ask you what the difference is, then you'll take ownership. Remember, if you say it, you own it. If I say it, it's suspect.
How do you get them? For me, on some of this stuff, it's different with girls, for me. It's different with girls than with guys. Like the girls, they're like clueless. They don't even,
You're telling me they don't know the difference of excitement?
No. I'm saying like when you go in and you ask them, why are you looking to replace your windows? What is it that you're looking for? You know, why am I here? Like those kind of questions. And then when you ask them about how they're removed or, you know, have you ever thought about this or whatever, they're like out to lunch. You know what I mean?
That's why you have to look at them and says, do you have any clue? That's why you got to meet people where they're at, right?
No, I understand, but I'm saying, my thing is, so versus a guy who says, so here's what you need to do. I'm like, oh, have you ever thought about how these are replaced? Like this guy last night. And he's all, yeah, here's what you need to do. You need to take out this aluminum and you need to cut back the stucco and there's a there's flashing that goes here. Mr. Anesthesiologist, right? So he's telling me this whole thing. And so I'm sitting here going, okay, so does he want a new home construction installation? Or do I give him SD reflash, you know?
SD reflash because he doesn't know any different.
Yeah, so
He
the
doesn't know
problem
it
is
exists.
Mr. Anesthesiologist
Yeah.
has probably watched YouTube videos,
Mhm.
so he knows basic generalities. But again, there's why he's the anesthesiologist, so if you needed to go and get basically a shot for pain before you went into it, he's your guy, right?
Right,
But he's not your installation guy on this aspect. So
right.
when
but
you're out
I'm-
there and you're talking to your clueless people, or people that don't know, that's your perfect customer. So let me ask you, let's take a look at this thing real quick. I know that you probably don't know that much about Windows. And matter of fact, if I'm sitting at the table,
When
and
a girl
hold
says
on,
that
time
to
out,
guys,
time out,
they
time out,
don't
time out, time out. You're going off on a tangent that we don't need to go off on. So when you take basically somebody at a table, if I ask them 2 or 3 questions at the table and I know I'm getting nowhere, I'm not going to keep asking questions. That's a waste of my time. I need to get them up and take them to a window. I'm not asking questions for the sake of asking questions if I'm not getting anywhere. That's wasting my time. I'm going to get them up and take them to a window, and I'll ask them, you know, fast forward 6 months from now, what would your new window be doing for your old one's not? And then I want to hear what they tell me, and then I might develop what I'm going to be talking about based off that scenario. But if I just basically am trying to lead them with questions and they don't know their head from their ass when it comes to windows or doors, then yeah, they're going to be lost because, again, just like when you first started with Windows, you didn't know any of that stuff either, right? So it's kind of take yourself back to day one. You're there to hold their hand to help them make a good decision. So let me ask you a question. Do you even know how one of these windows would even come out of the wall? I don't have a clue. Okay, that's kind of scary because out there's a couple different ways, and you know there's a lot of ways that people can do it wrong, but it's cheap, and there's ways that you can do it right. Let me ask you, based on some of the other projects, you the type of person that wants to do it right, or basically do you just want to get it done cheap? And if you did, let me show you what you can expect. So it's not just about asking the questions and getting them to completely own if they're ignorant, but it's about building a picture for them that makes them feel like it's bigger than expected. I love it when people don't know anything because then it gives me a chance to educate them on the reasons why this is such a big deal. Think about it. Windows are basically 40 to 60% of the entire outside walls of the house. If I stand back at the outside backyard and I look at the house, what percentage of your house is walls and what percentage is windows? So when I'm looking at these things, I want to make sure that I make the brain think. And, you know, realizing if you do the wrong solution in here, that can change the whole entire look of your house. And it also changes the water management system. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong in here. Matter of fact, there's more things that can go wrong on a window installation that can ever go right. So let me ask you a few more questions. Is that all right? What do you know that's going on with the windows now, or do you even have a clue what's going on with the windows on why you want to have it replaced?
So
Why am I here?
How did you go at it last night? JC,
Mm,
you said you wanted new construction and you're asking, so what did you
Yeah.
do?
yeah, he knew everything.
Okay, but so what did you do?
So I just kept asking and I said, you know, so then I said, well, okay, that's one way to do it. Are you curious about the other ways? Because I'm happy to share with you. Because when they're really super prideful like that, you know, they're just like, they know everything. And
That's your best customer.
Yeah, then you'd go, that's awesome. You know 95% more than anybody that I've ever come across. How'd you learn that? And then you start talking about what they did their research, and you get to know why it was so important to him that he did all that research to figure out that's why he wanted to do his window versus what 95% everybody else does.
So that's probably why you called us out, right? Based on everything you know, that's probably why you called us out, right? To get this project taken care of?
Yeah, well, he and his wife couldn't even agree on what, she wanted the front door, he wanted the front window, she wanted a pano, he wanted this, she like those. I mean, I spent 20 minutes listening to him argue back and forth where I finally said, hey, how about this? How about, we come out and I'll do my inspection now and then we go through.
Oh, that was before anything?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
Should have let him gas her and then you could sell
I'm
him.
telling you. And then when he walked outside, he goes, I just gotta walk outside. And he's walking outside watering the grass.
Oh, no.
So I looked at her and I go, hey, tell me, when this family conflict comes and it comes to home remodeling, who really wins the argument? Can you tell me that? And she goes, well, it takes a while, but I do. I go, okay, so tell me what you're looking for on this.
And then
That's pretty good, actually.
I had this with a Navy SEAL and a wife who's a type A personality, big, huge mucky mug for a Cox. And I made a joke because she actually made me go get him because he got so pissed he left.
Yeah.
I said, my estimate's for free, but my mediation services here, I'm definitely sending you a bill for it. And that broke the ice. You just make a joke about it, like make them laugh.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is, let me ask you.
Well,
this,
now I gotta go back.
Is that a need or a want? What you're talking about, is that a need or a want?
What do you mean?
Get to the need, not the want.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, I know you're saying the panel doors, things like that, those are great wants, right? Is this a project that you're definitely gonna get done someday, or is this something you're just thinking about? Let me ask you, what's more of the want? Or what's more of the need? Okay? Figure out what your needs and wants are, right? It's priorities. I don't freaking care about your wants. Let's talk about those on a different day. What's your need? What's the reason you called me out, or what's the straw that broke the camel's back? What forced you to pick up the phone to even get an estimate on this?
Yeah,
stuff?
they didn't. They proximity marketing.
It's all right. So it sounds like to me this is something you're definitely going to get done someday. And why are you even thinking about it?
Well, they couldn't even decide if they're gonna stay more than 5 years. And then had to hear the story about Portland, Oregon and Lake Tahoe and,
So the anesthesiologist is putting you to sleep?
man, I was like,
I think you lost control, to be honest with you. Because if somebody's willing to let you inside their house and talk about certain things, that's an excuse that you find out early, right? So beautiful house, how long do you own it for? Place you guys plan on staying for a while now, we plan on leaving. Well, great. Well, what would put you in a position to have me out and take a look at anything anyways then?
then they show me the window, so then I'm like, okay. So is this the only thing that you're looking at? And then she's like, yes, we want to do this. And then he's like, no, I want the whole house. I mean, like the whole thing, I'm going.
So let me ask you a question. Even if you wanted to do the entire house, you probably at least want to start here to make sure we're going to do a great job for you, right?
And you know what? 75% of my clients will do phase projects. So, what phase would you put this particular window in? I mean, I'm going to take a stab at, since it's duct taped together right now, I might think that that's a first priority. Would you agree?
Well, then I would have been pushing at that. So it sounds like to me, before I leave here today, we at least got to take care of that window, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a look at what that one's going to cost. And if you like that one, then we can go and measure the entire house for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into their little nicks and crannies. The beautiful thing about the panoramic door and other things onto it, our average customer comes back just 2 to 3 times anyway. So let's go ahead and focus on the worst first, and then we can take a look at that other aspect of it. Because I didn't catch you on a night where you plan on spending money on the entire house, did I? You probably just need to take care of the worst first. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that's going to cost. So at least when it comes time, you know what this is going to take care of, maybe to do this, and then you can invite me back out after we've already done a great job on the window that's falling out of your house anyways, and make sure that we can go ahead and get this going. Especially right now, we got some programs that I think in place that I think a smart guy like yourself would be almost ignorant not to take advantage of. So let's go ahead and take a look at what these programs would be. And then basically, if it fits in the budget, we'd love to welcome you to Dreamstar Modeling. If not, we'll shake hands and part friends. How's that feel? So don't get wrapped into their drama. I don't let, that's a yellow. Remember yellow? What do we do on a yellow?
Pattern interrupt.
Pattern interrupt, pattern repeat, right? Take them back to it. You can't let them take you off track, because then just like what happened, you'll be sitting there for 20, 30 minutes talking about shit that's irrelevant. You got to get them back on track. Because at the end of it, that's great. That's an awesome thing you're talking about. Now, what do you need to have done? Well, we got to have that window. Look at it.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, she's saying, I want this, and he's saying, I want that. And I'm like, okay, well, So let's talk about it. So if this window needs to be replaced, are we really looking at cutting it down and doing a pano door? And she's like, no, we're not gonna do that until we do the kitchen remodel. Well, then why are we gonna replace the damn window right now anyway? If we're gonna do a pano, you know, like.
Well, I'd say, well, the panel will come down, but if you guys honestly tell me, I'll use devil's advocate, if you honestly tell me you're thinking about moving to Portland, Oregon, 3-4 years, why would you spend the money on a panel door? Why don't you just go ahead and get this replaced, so when it does come time for you to do it, then you got plenty of time to decide why
said
you're
Let
doing
me show you the
kitchen.
ROI on a kitchen.
Um,
Really, the ROI on a kitchen is horrible compared to the windows.
You know, unfortunately, that's where people gather, so within 5 years, that kitchen's gonna look like hell anyways, so it doesn't, like I said, these are all what
Yeah,
ifs.
no, no.
I don't wanna talk about one-offs. One-offs are like basically, those are crazy.
Can I tell you guys to please, honestly, I think it helped motivate, at least it would me, so I don't know if it would you. When you sell a job, obviously put what type of window you sold, type of financing, and what kind of appointment. If it was proximity or events, put it down there, so other people see it. 'Cause
We're actually, like on proximity, closing the hell out of proximity.
okay, so see, that'd be a good thing, so that helped motivate. I think if you put it on there, damn, JC, Mike just sold a proximity appointment, or just sold a fair lead. You don't have to put, if it's, other than that, we know it's a traditional lead, but I think it would help. Just get excited about it before you even get there.
Well,
I think the night before.
I think number one, when you look at the lead on the sheet, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, when I was out in the field, I didn't even look where that lead came from. I didn't care. Because to me, I was gonna figure out what I needed to do in each lead anyways and take it for what it is. And I didn't wanna psych myself out.
Well,
If I psych myself out, then it rolls into that. I know by walking into the house how they're treating me.
Going
And I know
fresh.
if I've got a red, a blue, a yellow, or a white. And I know based on the conversation they tell me when I walk in, they say, well, we're not buying anything today anyways. Well, then great. Hey, I know you're not planning on spending any money today. It says right here they're not doing it. I can tailor that off their energy and emotion. I don't have to think about what type of appointment. I'm gonna treat it. If you treat every appointment as for what the appointment is and who you're dealing with, you're gonna win the appointment.
Well,
If I focus on, let me just teach you something here, young Skywalker, okay? If I walk every appointment and I'm thinking about what type of appointment it is, then I get myself wrapped around the type of appointment and not the people I'm dealing with.
I have to do that in order to put when the time comes, pressure relief all the way through until about 3/4 away, and then I'm sucker punching them all over the place, and then they end up buying windows. So I do have to.
Well, to an extent, I agree. But what happens if you run into a situation on one that's not that way, and you didn't handle it, and you didn't basically handle it? Again, you'll know within 15 minutes on how to sell that appointment anyways. Because they're gonna hit you with all your upfront stuff. And that's why we work on in training when you walk in the door, beautiful house, how long you own it for, what take a stick of dynamite to get you out of this house, basically it's a forever home. Great, you didn't take enough time today, basically I didn't catch you on a soccer or bowling night, you did a little bit of time aside for me, right? Boom, so we walk down the table, boy, what your position should be looking at windows today? Well, the guy knocked on the door, boom, now I know. Okay, I've met the people at the fair, boom, now I know. So it sounds like to me that you're probably gonna, if not, you're not gonna get this done today, you're gonna get it done sometime in the future, right? Yeah, so cool. Well, let me ask you, when it comes time to the project, what is important to you and why did you even let us come out here anyways?
Fair enough.
I'm just sharing with you, don't get your head wrapped around like the type of appointment, get your head wrapped around what you need to do on each appointment. And I agree, getting prepared by looking at proximity and events so you know when it comes time, but that's not the whole philosophy on it. Because like what we talked about today, pain, evidence, right?
Right.
Solution, and then closing final statements, right? So if I got my closing final statements, the last thing I'm getting into there, that's it. You know, if you treat these cells right, step one, all the way till you get the product are all future steps, right? And then basically after you get done with the product, then it becomes today's steps. Now it's, John, it sounds like to me really, that's the key of today. Sounds like to me really today, basically there's nothing besides project payments keeping us to move forward today while I'm out here, right? We did put the stance earlier by talking about the cost savings program. John and Mary, obviously most of our customers move forward on the same day. You know, yourself, I understand what you told me earlier, you're not interested in doing, we're giving you the same opportunity to give everybody else, right? Because even up at traditional or event leads, we know the basic, most of our people are ready to buy, at least after they see our initial presentation. Still, others might need a second, third, fourth visit. So again, making sure you put yourself in that slice of life into it. But again, the reason I want to go over product today, which now we've been rambling for a while, which I like, but is you got to make that the solution to the problems in the house and the pain they're currently dealing with, or it's irrelevant.
Not just a pretty window.
If it's just, you're just presenting windows and talking about fab, feature, advantage, and benefit, you're not doing what the window demonstration is designed to
Put
do.
that window in their house.
You have to tie it back and make them feel like they're living with it now and how it's going to change their life.
You're verbally installing it inside of their house,
If-
telling them how it's.
If they don't picture that window in a slice of life, then literally you're not doing everything you can be to be successful, right? How much money do you think you would save off of utilities? What do you think the difference is going to make? How is you going to feel when you can now operate that window you can't operate the bedrooms? How much safer is that going to make your kids or your family if there were a fire? You know, what's that going to make you feel when you pull up to your house every single day with brand new beautiful windows on here, not dealing with what you currently have to deal right through here? What is that going to make your neighbors feel? You know, after you tell the neighbors, you give them my card, basically letting them know where you got your windows from. I'll cut you in on that too. All right, so put them in that slice of life. Make them feel like they own it. Make them feel like they want it. Right? Make them feel like they already have it. Make them feel like they can't live without it. That's perfect. This is all psychology.
Mike,
Everything we do is psychology.
what do you mean when you say verbally install the windows while you're inside the house?
So what I'm saying is how you're showing everything and you're giving them all the solutions, they're seeing that window already installed and how amazing and what it's going to do to solve all their problems. At least that's how I try to do it, is they're picturing that window already in their house. They can see it. You're talking and they can actually see it in their house and how it's going to affect everything that's going on in their house.
So you're doing that by making statements, or are you asking them questions and getting
You put
feedback from
them
them?
in a slice of life.
Yeah, slice of life.
You're talking about installing it, correcting the stuff that's on their house now. So you got, you know, basically your sales are junk on this. The old window's junk. So again, we got to take out and remove that existing window right there. When we take it out, we don't really know what we're going to run into. So we're going to have to tie it back into the existing paper. We're going to have to flash it. We're going to have to make sure we put this in. We're correcting that water management system that's coming back down on here and not allowing this stuff to walk back inside the house. When we got the windows actually installed, it's all sealed into here. Now the operation of the window. Can you imagine what that's going to be like when you walk up to the windows and you can open and close them with one finger and not have to fight it anymore, right? How much better is that going to make your life? If there were a fire and your grandkids were here, or your kids were in the bedroom and couldn't get out because the window got stuck, that would be awful, right? We wouldn't even want to imagine what that would be like. But how's it going to be knowing you made a smart, sound investment? Now the kids can open the window to get out safely if there were a problem, right? What's the other thing is when somebody bumps up against your screen, or basically the kids poke a hole in the screen, you're not going to have to worry about replacing the screen and going down to Ace Hardware and spending $75 to $100. You can just call us if there is a challenge with the screen, right? You talk about basically the water management system, and not the everyday, but when it does rain, knowing you got that peace of mind that you can smile when it rains, knowing that nothing's going to come into your house like buckets. Right? So again, you've added to that protection. Not to mention, if anything goes wrong for the entire time you're in there, fogged up, seal, anything, you make one number to call if there is a problem. And I think the color that you guys chose on the outside of the house right through here, how that's going to tie and blend everything together, it's going to make you so proud every day you walk up to the house. Know you made a good decision by a smart company that's going to make sure you're taken care of. You're not trusting the chuck in the truck just because of the cheap price. You're putting the right product in with the right installation backed by the right company. So there's nothing else you're looking for, right? Everything's taken care of. The only thing we got to get over is basically what the monthly investment is. Let me ask you, how much is a $373 a month? You know what? Whatever you're doing, put them in a slice of life where they feel like they own it. It's like selling the fucking water bottle. Let me ask you, you currently drink water bottles. What kind of water bottles you drink? What do you like about your current water bottles? What do you don't like? What would you change about it? Do you like the flavor? Do you like the taste? Do you like the packaging? What do you like? Do you like the way the freaking thing's grip? What do you want? What would you change about that? Why would you change it? Why is that even important to you? What even makes you think about it? Tell me about a time where that affected you.
Holy hell.
There's 8,000 questions. There's 8,000 questions you can put together on any presentation.
I love it.
And the purpose is when you get good enough at realizing how to ask the same thing 3 or 4 different ways, and you keep finding ways to get a barrier to break through, it's a big deal. Because I want to know when I'm in there, I know if you can stall me on one question I ask you, but you can't stall me on 3. I can ask the same question 3 different ways. Eventually, I'm going to get the right answer. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Well, what do you mean about that? Show me what's not wrong with it. Well, they operate, they do this, they do that. Great. I mean, let me ask you, how do you feel about the looks? Actually, I don't like the looks. So you don't like the looks. And why would you change about the looks? Well, I want it to be a different color. Well, what about the color don't you like? Well, it just looks like a matte finish, almost looks like pots and pans. So you don't like the pot and pan look? So what color, if you wave a magic wand, would they be? And then what else would they be doing differently that your current ones aren't doing? I can get anything I want by asking enough questions.
Look, you got married.
It's pretty odd, too.
Yeah. He married up.
So
Yeah,
again,
same questions with her. So what kind of husband do you want?
what kind of car you want to drive?
Yeah, exactly.
But the purpose is asking those questions, you know, the way the barrier breakthrough, remember, a question elicits a response, a statement forces them to listen. And statements, if they're not willing to listen, they're never going to listen. Yeah. So your reds, right? Your reds, they're not going to listen to you anyways because they think they know more than you, right? Like the anesthesiologist, they think they already got life figured out, right? So you play off their power anyways. So man, it sounds like you got this thing all figured out. So is that why you call us out to take a look at a project like this, or let us even come out? You know, a smart guy like yourself, your time's probably worth money, right? So if you do this project, you want to make sure it's done right the first time or not touch it at all. So what would be your expectations for you spend $1 your hard-earned money with anybody? Well, I want this, this, and this done. So it sounds like to me you're not going to trust anybody unless that's done, right?
Mhm.
No. So what do you want the new window to do for you that your old ones aren't doing for you? Why would you even consider putting a panoramic door in there anyways? Because we really like the way it would open and look. Now, based on what you told me, knowing that you might not be living here very long, do you think that would be the smartest choice of your money, or do you think you get better bang on your buck doing the kitchen? Well, I think we get better bang on the buck doing the kitchen. So why were we even talking about that? Let's go ahead and fix the window that you talked about today, that you called us out here today, or let us come out to take a look at because it's duct taped together. At the end of the day, wouldn't you agree that's your biggest priority? Yeah, and if you decide later down the road after you do your kitchen, you want to look at a panoramic door, we'll give you credit back on part of that window, and then basically we let you to put towards basically your panoramic door. That'll work for you, won't it? Isn't that killing two birds with one stone? So get them in. You know, you can take smart people, you can put them into a box, but if you let them overtalk you and overpower you, then they own the conversation. So again, be strategic and deliberate in your approach. Like today, the message thing we went on this morning talks about stages of business, right? Well, there's stages in a rep's career too, right? You think about it. You don't know what you don't know, right? Unconscious incompetent, right? So you don't know things, right? And then you get conscious incompetent, which means you know what you don't know, right? And you need to work on. Then you get conscious competence, which means you know what you know, so you're getting basically to a point where you're confident in what you're doing. And then you get unconscious competence, which means basically you don't have to think about it, you just do it, like your professional athletes. Until you get to that level, you got to constantly be working on your trade. The problem is people that start doing good, they think they're better than what they are. They feel like then they don't train, they don't sharpen the saw, they don't do the things they need to be doing, and then their results do this.
Well, it's kind of like saying you won the Super Bowl last year. That doesn't mean that you can just all summer relax and all winter just do nothing and then go ahead and win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, they give them about a month off and then it's right back on the training field, right? And they throw the same pass, play the same block, basically do the same routines till they can't get it wrong, right?
And then
So
keep doing it again.
Amateur practice get it right. Fresh practice can't get it wrong. How many times are you practicing but you can't get it wrong? That's what I'm telling you. This is so fun. Like the cool thing about this, that you can do the same thing in this industry for 30 years and you can never stop learning something new. People are crazy. Personalities are crazy, right? Your design's crazy. You can't handle anything exactly the same. You always run into somebody that's a little unique, a little different than the person you ran into yesterday. That's what makes this job so much fun, is you get a new circumstance, a new situation to try to overcome every single day. If it were easy, everybody would do it, right? But the reward for doing the good job and learning the things you need to learn, if you're doing a good job, your money you can make doing this is absolutely incredible, right? Where else can you go make a couple $100,000 a year based on, going in a house and working 2.5 to 3 hours 2.5 to 3 hours on one that you're basically busted your ass to go sell. Fortunately, you can work 2.5 to 3 hours, not make anything. But what you got to ask yourself is, what did you miss in it? What did you do good? What could you have done better? What did you learn from it? If you just leave and think, well, no one could have got that one, then you're an idiot. Because you don't know what you don't know. Because this day, I'll still leave an appointment, even if it was a piece of shit like that one that me and you went on, where they wanted to build the windows on the retaining wall, and there were no roof. I was still pissed off when we left that. Because
I was pissed off because you wouldn't give up.
I told them.
there was a retaining wall with no roof, and they wanted to build a window inside of this retaining wall. And just because I wanted to, I fought them on it.
I literally
It was
walked
principle,
away
wasn't
with the wife up on the hill. I'm like, dude, I'm done. Like, he fought so freaking hard.
But I was teaching you a lesson.
I know you were.
That basically you can make something out of nothing.
I know.
And I did. I had them thinking their freaking garage was rotten out, right? And they basically had to tear out everything. I let them inside on the garage in their bedroom, and they're talking about the smell of mold, talking about basically the challenge that are going on in the house, right? And he's freaking sitting out there, didn't even speak English. I'm still beating the shit out of him. So
But he didn't know it.
Just so you all know, that appointment, I would have looked at it and said, you know what? There's no way. I would have been in and out of there in less than 3 minutes.
I didn't care because I was showing you can make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose of it was I still kept the structure.
We
I
got
still
close.
got my commitments. I almost had them to go get their checkbook on something that we had no business really selling. And I did it just because I wanted to prove to you that you can make something out of nothing.
I know.
So when people walk into a house and they actually have physical walls and windows there, you can make something happen. There's no way that you walk in a house, well, there was nothing wrong with the windows. Well, bullshit. You're in there for a reason. If there's nothing wrong with their windows, why are you there? People don't call window salespeople out for fun. Think about that. What am I going to do today? I think I'm going to window sales guy out of my house today trying to sell me windows. Yeah, that sounds fun. So again, realize what's their why, what's your why, and then basically figure out how to get to a solution. And again, what's your closing statement? And at the end of the day, are you basically, are you a lawyer that works at basically the public defender's office? It makes 40 grand a year. Or are you one of those that basically live high on the hill because you did a good enough job representing your client and yourself to make sure you're making the top dollar amount of money, right? How good's your closing statements? How good is your evidence that you created throughout the presentation? How big is the problem or challenge of the evidence that you need to create? How good is your inspection inside and out? What are you doing to make that valuable difference? How are you unique? Why is your process different? That's the things you got to accomplish. Because if you think you're good and you think you got to figure it out, and you walk in a house and all you're doing is talking, you're not selling. Because that's stages we get into when you get overconfident, you get in that conscious confidence, we feel like our words are moving us further than our actions. And if our words we feel like are moving us further than our actions inside the house, then we're not selling correctly. Because when you know you're on fire and you're almost smiling when they give you an objection, you're asking 2 or 3 questions on every objection they give you, realizing that it's fluff or bullcrap, or knowing that you need to get down the root because what they're telling you is surface, that's when you got it. What's the surface objection and what's the root? If I don't know where the root's at, I don't know what the underlying structure and the reason they're doing it is, and I'm only at the surface, I can pull surface weeds all day long, but it doesn't mean I pulled the root. So again, what's the reason why? How am I overcoming that? And then what am I doing to create the solution to the needs, urgency, and the root that's setting in there that's been rooted in? Maybe that root is they're credit challenged, and they just don't want to admit to you they're credit challenged because they liked you enough not to admit that, right? So we're not smart enough to realize what they're giving me is a stall, and they thought they were paying cash at $5 grand, but they can't pay cash at 40 grand, shocker, right? So if I don't put them in a position where they can say yes, and I'm setting them up for failure because they're too scared to tell me that they've got a couple blemishes on their credit, and I wasn't smart enough to ask about PACE or, Basic Cal First or whatever else I might be doing, or talk about our third-party lenders that we have, our second chance lenders, to help get them into it, then I'm basically, I'm not giving them the fair opportunity because I'm buying their excuse. And again, if you got nothing besides price or payment keeping you from moving forward today, and you're at the end of it, and you're buying anything except for a yes or no, you've just worn an excuse, and you got knifed out of the house. So at the end of the day, if you get there anything besides price or payment that's keeping us from moving forward today, and you get anything other than a yes or a no, you're being knifed out of the house. You might as well tell them, I know what you're doing, guys. I appreciate it. You're just trying to tell me nice, but you're trying not to hurt my feelings, right? I'd rather you tell me no than shake hands and part friends than me call you every day or 2 times a week for the next year and you dodging my phone calls.
Yeah, that's probably about 3 weeks ago. I'm leaving that house. I would say 98% of the time with a flat out no. If I'm leaving, it's with a no. It's not a yes, I'm not gonna think about it. Yeah. So then I can let it go too.
What happens when they tell you up front that they're getting bids, and then when I was saying, so you're 100% confident, trusting Dream Style to do this project for you? Yes. So I'm assuming there's nothing besides price or payment that's going to keep us from moving forward today. And then they say, yes, remember at the very beginning when I told you that I'm getting 2 other bids? And I'm like, yes.
So what do you say then?
So then I say, just say, okay, yeah, I understand. I mean, I'm not going to say, no, you can't get 2 other bids. I just say, all right. So price aside, is there anything that would keep us from moving forward today? No, I'm not going to move forward today. I told you that at the very beginning.
Okay. So what do you say?
I say, well, let me show you what the investment looks like.
Okay.
I'm not going to
Let me
not.
ask you, what else would you be looking for to sell a cheaper price?
Well, I'd say this very thing, right? So anybody else got anything they say first?
Well, I think you have to deal with that objection. I mean, you can't just, I don't think we can roll off of that and not deal with it. So however
You did.
our style is, we have to deal with that objection before we can roll the price.
Yes, you did say you're 100% confident and trusting Dreams Style on. You did say when the time comes that this is the window system and the installation you're looking for. Let me ask you, besides the cheaper price, another thing, what else would you be looking for?
Well, I want to do my due diligence because I never buy anything without looking at 2 other companies. I always get 3 bids.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. But again, what do you think you would find more than we shared with you today?
I don't know because
Well, you already missed a key word, never. That's a key word into there. Means they've made a bad decision before, which is why they're not wanting to make a decision today, because they're relating it to a bad decision they made in the past. Okay, that's number 1. It means they made a bad decision before. You said the word never. Never means that they have before. You're never going to not do anything because you've never done it before, right? I'm never going to go bungee jumping. I'm never going to walk across the street. Maybe you got hit when I walked across the street. Maybe basically they went bungee jumping and something bad happened where the rope broke and they ended up basically dipping their head in the water, whatever might happen. You don't know. But again, you got to find the root. If you move on from there, it's there. But remember, when they talk about that thing, they say the word never, that's a whole different word track. Never means that they have, John, hey, I get it. Sounds like to me you're just not comfortable yet, right? You want to be comfortable, make this decision, is that correct? Well, it sounds like to me when nice people like yourself tell me that they never make a decision on the same day, means that they have before, right? May I just take a chance and say that you probably made a bad decision on the same day you bought something, you decide you're never going to do it again? What might that have been? Wedding ring? I got it. Sometimes that doesn't work out for the best, right? So a lot of people then tell you they're never going to get married. But again, when you bought basically that thing on the same day, it probably didn't make you feel good because it didn't turn out the way you expected it to turn out, right? Let me ask you, Mike, have you ever made a decision when it's taken a day, month, a week, a year? Made that decision, didn't have the most desired outcome either? So what you're really telling me is at the end of the day, you're just trying to make sure the investments you make, or when you do make this decision, it's the right decision, right? Now, I've been doing this a long time, and most people like yourself tell me when they're going to make a decision like this, they base it off 3 things. Number 1, they want the best quality products with the best terms and guarantees for the cheapest price, right? I've been doing this a long time in the industry, and I can tell you in San Diego, there's no one out there that's going to give you the best quality products with the best terms and guarantees for the cheapest price. And I probably say, based on everything you shared with me today, you told me there was nothing else you'd be looking for when it came time to put your windows inside the house, right? There was no other colors, choices, designs, nothing with the installation that would be any more important to you, nothing else you'd be looking for, so it's not the product, right? What about the service and guarantees we shared with you? We showed you about the service and guarantees, basically lifetime warranty in addition to, if anything ever happened for the type of time you live in the house, that labor, anything of that nature, that insurance behind the insurance, that you said we'd be 100% taken care of. You said you're 100% confident with that also, right? So it's not the service and guarantees, so it's got to be the price. So what you're hoping to do is find the same thing we carry at a cheaper price. Would that be correct? Yeah. So let me ask you, if it all comes down to the money, which it sounds like it does, take the other two estimates and set them outside for a second. If they didn't exist, you would at least keep an open mind to a good offer, right? So really it comes down to affordability. And I don't think it's something when you found everything you're looking for, not to mention a company you could trust and America's largest full service remodeler back-to-back years in a row. It doesn't matter if you pick somebody on the first day or the 13th day, it matters the contractor you choose. And your decision is going to be based on that and that only, not based off getting two other estimates. That's just going to confuse you even more because no offense, but you didn't take a single note today on everything I shared with you. So what would you hope to remember today and a week from now, except for remembering half of what I did? I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. You remember a name and a price. It's nothing against you. I just deal with this all day long. And unfortunately, if I'm catching you before I catch you after you made that bad decision, and for a second time, we don't want to make that happen, you can keep an open mind to a good offer, right? If you see something you like, you can say yes. If you also see something you don't like, you can tell me no, right? I think you're going to love what I've put together for you. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm not rolling a money budget. But I'm not going to leave that objection alone right through there. Because that's as good enough as telling me that they're applying on the cheapest bid. They're applying the cheapest bid is what they're looking for. They're looking for a cheaper bid for the same thing. That's exactly what that is. And I'm not willing to accept that. Not if they told me, not if they committed to everything else. I'm going to say it in a nice way. I'm not going to be a prick about it. I'm saying, guys, hey, I completely understand. Sounds like to me you're just not comfortable yet, right? And when you said the word never, people like yourself that never, it tells me never generally means that they have before, right? I assume you made a bad decision on the same day you bought something. Remember, I recorded that and sent it out to everybody. There's a whole close on that that works really well. And then basically, you know, the price shopper close is best quality products, best service guarantees for the cheapest price, right? I've been in this industry a long time. And there ain't anybody out there that carries the best quality products, best service guarantees for the cheapest price. And you told me you had to have this, this, and this when you're going to replace your product on your house, right? You told me there's nothing else you're looking for on the product. If that's correct, what else would you be looking for? Well, nothing. Okay. We talked about service and guarantees. We talked about basically the warranty and the warranty behind the warranty, which is the insurance policy onto it. You said there's nothing else you'd be looking for on that either. So I'm confused. What else would you be looking for? Well, nothing. So something you'd be looking for, and in that case then, would be just a cheaper price, right? Yep. So if you haven't even seen my price today, how can you not keep an open mind to a good offer?
So what you're doing, it sounds like is it doesn't matter to him.
I'm taking it right back to the money.
It doesn't matter to him what the objections. When we go for our pre-close and they say that I either want to shop around or do what it is, what you're doing is it doesn't matter what they say. You're taking it back, however you want to go about doing it, back to the money.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Every time.
All about money. Because why if they love you, right? You say everybody loves you when you leave the house, they love you. If they love you and they trust you, if they love you and they trust you, why would they want to continue looking? Unless they want to see if someone else offered the same thing you offer at a cheaper price. Or they weren't convinced that the solution you gave them was the best solution for their home.
Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's a different thing, because then you can't take that back to the money.
But you can take the rest of it all back to the money. If you did your job the way we're trained to go through it, at the end of the day, it's the money and only the money.
Then we can go to the money.
So you should always know, take it to the money. If you hear the word never, instantly that should let you know that they've made a bad decision before. And that's the reason they're never going to make a decision on the same day, because they have made a bad decision before.
Right. So when she's like not flinching about the money at all, I mean, price impression.
It's because they've got nothing to compare it to yet.
Right.
So what happens is basically when they have nothing to compare it to yet, then you need to relate it back to what you've already gone over. You don't need to just drop it because you're letting them win with the money, because if the money's not a big deal, I guess I'm confused. If the money's not a big deal, what else would you be hoping to find if you love the money, you love the product, you love the company? What else would you be hoping to find?
JC, I see what you're saying. I think what I see what you're saying. You're saying is because I've come across that a lot too, because there's people, anyone you guys came out to my house and sold me windows, I don't care, you, anybody, I ain't buying them that first time. I'm going to look at least at one or two other people. That's just how I am. And I think that some of our customers are that way. So maybe I'm thinking that person that you're talking about may be that way. They just want to look. And what he does is, it doesn't matter to him because he goes back to that one close with, you're looking for three things. You're looking for the best company, the best product, and cheapest price. And that just doesn't exist. So that's what he's going to always take that one back to. And that's what I've started using since you've told me this now. And it's really worked really well because I bring it back to the money, the same thing on that person that just wants to see another one. And usually, JC, when someone tells me when I do that, they're looking just like when I shop, the same three things. I want to get the best product I can get, best service and warranties, and the best price. But that just doesn't exist. How can that exist? And then have that same kind of close
So then
conversation.
you can even take your sheet where you price impression. Well, which one of these would you want to get an estimate on?
Which one of these would you give up? If you were going to give up one of these three, the best product, the best company, and warranty and service guarantee, or cheapest price, you got to give up one of those three. All three can't exist. Do they exist anywhere else, anything else outside of windows, and anything else you've ever bought in your life, JC? Do you get the best product, the best company, and best warranties and the cheapest price anywhere? I don't.
Exist.
I don't ever get that. It doesn't.
You want a great hamburger to go to McDonald's?
You're going to give up something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just,
You have to get.
I mean, when the neighbor downstairs told her the exact same floor plan and our price was 3 times what hers.
So then it means she's telling you no. Yeah. That means she's telling you no.
She told me that up front. Oh yeah, it was $8,000.
Great.
For
Now you need to, now when your inspection and your delivery, you have to make hers feel different than her neighbor's house, the same exact floor plan. Well, I understand that, but you're on a second floor. Look at how these things have racked and gotten on a square here, right? There's more that has to be done than was done on the bottom floor onto there. Now I understand I'm 3 times, but you do want it done correctly, right? So if you're going to just a price, you should probably go with the person that they have down through there. But if you want it done correctly, let me share with you what we have to do different than what they did down there to make sure this is going to work for you. You can't take one circumstance and make it the gospel.
Yeah, no, I get it. I feel like I just run into it a lot lately where
Then there's something
they say, I wish you were the third person.
Then
Like I
there's
wish I
something-
would have had 2
then
more
there's
people
something in the
before you.
presentation that's missing that's creating the objection. Okay? There's something in the presentation that's missing. If you get down to the end and you continue to keep getting that, you need to reverse engineer your process and figure out where in the process you're not eliminating that objection. Okay, maybe it's in the company story. Maybe it's you're not building enough fear and pain in the industry. Maybe it's you're not showing enough pictures of bad jobs. Maybe it's something in the inspection you are doing. There's something in there that's causing that objection to surface at the end of it, and that's your job to figure out where to reverse engineer that. Or ask Mark, right along with me, Dustin, right along with me, figure out why I'm getting this freaking objection. So I've gotten it now 3-4 times. That makes sense? Because you're getting the objection and it's happening more than just every once in a while. Like you should get the I'm shopping around, and they should be sticking to that at the end of it, maybe less than 2% of the time. They might tell it to you in the very beginning, but by the time you're done, a lot of times you're talking them out of those other estimates. I can't count on a hand how many times they've told me that in the very beginning. At the end, I say, I'm just going to cancel the elements. Because if you didn't, there's somewhere you failed to build trust and credibility. During the process, it's forcing them to still want to keep looking.
I can tell you I was in that headspace of, I went on an event sleep. That's the second last one I sold. And called Mark, and it helped. He put me right back in it. I knew what I needed to do, but I knew that I was frustrated. Like, when I run into this again, and he helped me. So make that call when you go out to the car for your sample. Yes, correct.
Don't buy lives. Buying lives is a big deal. Customers, they're good. They're going to tell you what they need to tell you in the front to take you off your game. And if you let them take you off your game, then literally they're going to waiver you, and it's going to change your presentation. The thing is, words are words, and to an extent they have meaning at the end. They don't have any meaning in the beginning. unless they're telling you problems, challenges, and they're opening up to you. But I want to think about it. I'm not making a decision today. Basically, I'm getting 3 estimates. You know, my dog just died and I've got to pay the vet bill. That's all happening in the beginning. Those are all excuses. Okay? At the end of it, when it comes down to price of payment, then that's when the true objections are coming out. So even at the end of it, if they tell me, you know, that they're still shopping around, I need to figure out why they're shopping around, where I failed in the presentation that's causing them to shop around. What else would you be looking for? I mean, you didn't tell me, and then go back over your at least product commitment. What else would you be looking for in a product, service, or warranty, right? Nothing. Well, nice people like yourself tell me that, you know, they still want to get another estimate. It generally means one of 3 things. They're looking for the best quality product, best service and guarantees for the cheapest price. I assume that's probably what you're looking for too, right? Yeah. No, unfortunately, in our industry in San Diego, that doesn't exist. You're not going to get the best quality product. Now, you did tell me you needed this, this, and this, for you didn't consider putting the window inside it, right? And we did show you how our window system took care of all that, plus the colors, choices, design, everything was a fit, right? There's nothing else you were looking for. So that's not it, right? The product. So what about the service and guarantees? So you're just reminding them of all the things they just committed to you, right? So the service and guarantees is there, and the insurance behind the insurance is all good to go. So you know that if anything happens, you got one number to call if there's a problem, right? Is there anything else you're looking for on that? No. So it's got to be the price. So, you know, let me ask for long-term happiness, JC, which one of those 3 are you willing to give up? Obviously, if it's not the quality, if it's not the quality of the product and everything you need to take care of the problems on your house, not the colors, design, and choices, it's not the warranty and service on the side of it, then it's got to be you're looking for a cheaper price. So if you haven't even seen it yet, you can keep an open mind to a good offer, right? And you can tell me no if it's a no, and you can tell me yes if it's a yes, right? What else would you be looking for? At least you might get the truth. Or just not convinced yet. We want to see what else we can get at. We can see what else. We want to see another opinion. That means there was some trust loss. So where was the trust loss? How would you do better? Hey, you know what? That's how I feed my family. Is a question, you know, what could I have done different today to basically earn your business? Is there something I could have done different? Is there some place in the situation that I failed you, that you didn't like, that I said, that turned you off? This caught you another estimate because I'm not used to hearing this.
They're going to say no almost every time to that. No, you did great.
No, but no, I didn't though.
I understand that.
Because I failed you, but I'm just sharing with you what part of the presentation, or what part of today's message, or part of today's inspection, or part of the, or basically the basic product I shared with yourself didn't meet your requirements to move forward. Come on, level with me. It's the price, isn't it? Take it right back to the money again. And hopefully I'm doing this at my coupon price and not the today investment. Because then I can still give a little bit off. If I need to fight like a dog at that coupon price and then not give my initial visit savings until I know it's money and nothing else. So it is money, if that's it, nothing else. Seems like that's the only reason we're not moving forward, right? Remember earlier we shared with you our cost savings program. If I can help you get that investment a little bit lower and make this thing more affordable, really that's the only reason we can't move forward, right? But I didn't have enough confidence to stick in there and fight it out. Because if I did my job, confidence is everything. Cockiness is not good, but confidence is everything. Confidence and humility, right? So again, we have to be able to fight at the end of it because we did our job earning it. And if you've got all your commitments, you know, basically, you agree that, you know, definitely a place you plan on staying for a long time. Yes, yeah. No, basically, you type of people who are going to do right the first time or not doing it at all. We agree these windows definitely need to be replaced. You can give up trying to fix it on your own, right? You're 100% confident, trust, and dream, so I'm going to do this project for you, right? Is there anything else you're looking for? No. Basically, get the product. You know, we took care of all the problems you call us out here today. And then plus what we found on the inspection, there was nothing else we're looking for, the right installation method, everything's a fit. Pick the right colors, choices, options, nothing else you're looking for. No, so when it comes time, you did say this is a window you not only needed, but wanted when it came time to take care of the problems on your home, right? And there's nothing besides price or payment that's keeping us moving forward today. And you say, yes, and I got all my commitments going all the way through. What else is there that they could possibly be looking for except for a cheap price? There's nothing. So as long as they owned the commitments they got and didn't just say them to get through it, it's a big deal. I need to make sure that in my inspection and when I'm giving at least my company presentation, I'm giving this, that I see an emotional shift, that I see a paradigm shift happening. If I don't see their paradigm shift and they look like the same asshole the entire time from the beginning to the end, I'm not resonating. Something I'm saying isn't clicking, right? So I need to figure out how do I change what I'm doing to click it. Maybe I get off the keynote and I just start verbal vomiting. Maybe I'm verbal vomiting and I need to stop and I need to get on the keynote. Maybe I need to show some third-party references. Maybe I need to get a customer on the horn to get to talk to them. Maybe I need to show some more pictures of something to get to them, right? That's what's beauty about the presentation. The commitments don't change, but the way, they don't change the goal, but change the way you get there sometimes. Maybe I'm basically a proximity appointment. Tell me they're not even interested in windows anyways, but let me go do a second point. Maybe go out and grab a window, bring it in, see if you even like it first. If not, maybe we'll just waste our time. Then you go out and grab a door sample, see if you like the door before I even get started. Show them enough about the door to get them intrigued, then start inspecting the door and show them why everything on that door is relevant to what their situation is, or why the window is relevant to all the situations they have. Because again, I can reverse engineer and I can change my path to get there. It just depends on the customer I am. That's why I have to be a chameleon and be so fluent in my system, because if I have my commitments and I know them by heart and I don't have to think about them, that's one less thing I've got to keep brain power on. Because when I'm just in a house and they come out automatic, because I'm just so used to saying it or imprinting it right after certain aspects, I don't have to think about it anymore. That's that unconscious confidence side of it, which is where your professional athletes that make millions of dollars a year are at. They don't have to think about the action doing, they just do it. And when you get so good at your presentation that you don't have to think about what you're doing, you can just do it, then the rest of it takes care of itself. Now it's easy. That's easy peasy. Doesn't matter what the hell you're selling. You're just selling it because you're that damn good at what you do. You can't fail. And if you do fail, it's not you. It's about their financial stability, their income, the situation, or an event that you can't control. Which means 40 to 50% of the time, you're walking out of that thing with an order. All the other things are circumstances you can't control. That's when you take it to the next level.
Sounds easy.
I know it does.
It does, but you know what? Some of us have had those commitments in our hands for well over a year, right? Maybe you don't understand the importance of them or understand the importance of how to get there or how to sing and dance. You should almost every month just kind of like listen to your favorite audio program, your favorite book. I put that book on there and I listen to that book once a year. Well, think about it. If I take one commitment a month, if I just took one commitment a month and I focused on mastering one commitment a month, every single month, so 12 times a year, if I took, how many commitments are there? Commitment to trust, commitment to need, commitment to basically resolution, and basically my pre-close, right? So I got 4 commitments. 4 major commitments, right? I got a bunch of mine. If I take 4 major commitments and if I've got 12 months to work on those, how many times in a month can I work on perfecting those commitments, or a year, excuse me? How many times in a year can I work on perfecting those commitments? Right? So if I got 4 times 3, I got 3 months out of the year. If I can give 3 months to each one of the major 4 commitments, and I can work on perfecting those things for an entire month, it might be 5, I don't know, but whatever it is. It's anarchy right now.
No, Ant RV.
RV. So there's 5.
Agenda, need, trust, solution, resolution, value.
There you go. So there's 5, whatever. So at least
All right.
you get 2 of them 2 times a year, and then you merge 2 more. Who cares? So again, some of them you don't need that much time on, right? But if I take the big ones, like my company, my trust commitment, my resolution commitment, and my need commitment, and I focus on those 3 right through there, and I give those 3 months, and then I merge the other 2 with 2 months, I get really damn good at my trade. I focus on basically the end, which is my pre-close, my romancing, and my sales part, and basically my closing part of it. I give those 2 months out of the year where I'm just trying to perfect those things to the in and out, where I'm calling one of my coworkers and I'm basically role playing on the phone with them, hey, I want to think about it. I want to think about it. Hey, Mike Hauser, I want to think about it. And then Mike Hauser goes through basically his closing routine. JC, I never make snap decisions. Mike, I need to get 3 other estimates. You know, Lamar, I need to basically, you know, you're the first person I'm getting 2 other estimates, whatever it might be. I never make snap decisions, you know, Dave. And you guys just call each other and start role playing that on the phone. You know how damn sharp you're going to get? Especially if you're practicing outside of the house. If you wait to practice till you get in, the elements get too heavy and you don't know what you're doing. But again, practicing till you can't get it wrong. That's how we did it back in the day. Sometimes we'd drive 5 hours to a motel town. On the way to motel town, we'd sit there for 3 to 5 hours, you know, role playing with each other on speakerphone. Because we wanted to get that good and we wanted every opportunity to count the point where we wanted to make freaking money. We wanted to make a lot of money. And that's why the pace setters of the group and the people like that had it drilled into their head to where they couldn't get it wrong, still make more money than anyone else in the industry today. I think it's funny. You know, Terry in Tucson, pace setter guy. Jim in Albuquerque, pace setter guy. I'm a pace setter guy, right? Look at most of these guys that in the industry, they're still making a shit ton of money, old pace setter guys. Because they had this stuff beat into their head at a young age, and they realized that you were never better than the 10 steps. You were only as good as the presentation you gave, and nothing you say could change it or basically do anything different. You know, understanding infiltration, conduction, convection, solar heat gain. Why is that relevant in the situation? If you walk in the house and nothing looks wrong with the windows, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about weather stripping? You're going to talk about air infiltration. You're going to talk about the furnace going on and off. You're going to talk about basically heating and air conditioning, how much you can turn it up or down, thermos bottles, whatever you could talk about basically being done. Single pane of glass or dual pane of glass, never on gas, like a thermos bottle with a hole in it. Right? If your thermos bottle has a hole in it, how well is that insulating? Not at all, right? The liquid gets cold immediately. Why is it so important to have basically a dead airspace inside the thermos bottle? So again, using analogies that people make sense of make a big difference. I'm done rambling. But that's a lot of shit thrown at you guys in a short period of time. But again, it's all relevant.
The email's working. I got a few from Norma.
Yep, emails are working.
Oh, yeah.
We can send them to our customers.
There's a web-based email there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna set you guys up. It's just a temporary website.
Yeah, it's a temporary web email, and then
Yes.
you can email and receive everything all the way from last Tuesday.
Send out all those
It's setting, should be
contracts and
setting
stuff
your email.
because-
Everything from last Tuesday should be setting
No, I
your
will
email.
It's not.
You're not listening. I just said there's a web email address that we're gonna set you up on that should have everything from last Tuesday on.
Correct. But anything prior to that, nothing transfers. So
Stop that. Will you stop that video? Charlie, Mark, if you're still on there, thank you guys for your attendance. And anyone else that's on, I appreciate you guys. And we will see you on the board.
All right. Thanks, Dustin.